Welcome to Mahzen. Before we begin tonight's terrifying journey, take a quick moment to look around your room. Make sure your doors are locked and your windows are tightly shut. If you love true, bone-chilling horror stories and want to support the channel, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. It really helps a new channel like Mahzen grow, and you won't miss a single nightmare. Now, sit back, turn off the lights, and let's dive into our first story. Working the night shift at a gas station in rural Pennsylvania was usually incredibly boring. I was 21 at the time, working the midnight to 6 a.m. shift to pay for college. The station was located right off a lonely highway, surrounded by miles of dense woods. Most nights, I wouldn't see a single car between 2 and 5 a.m. It was just me, the buzzing fluorescent lights, and the hum of the refrigerators. It was a rainy Thursday night, around 3:15 a.m. I was standing behind the counter, organizing some cigarette packs, when the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, expecting a tired truck driver. Instead, a man walked in who immediately made the hairs on my arms stand up. He was wearing a filthy, oversized yellow raincoat, even though it hadn't rained heavily for hours. His hood was pulled low, completely shadowing his face. But the strangest part was his walk. He didn't just walk. He dragged his left leg stiffly, making a heavy, wet scraping sound on the linoleum floor. Step, scrape, step, scrape. "Welcome," I said, trying to sound polite, but my voice trembled slightly. The man didn't answer. He didn't even look at me. He walked straight toward the back aisle, where the drinks were kept. I watched him on the security monitor hanging above the register. He stood in front of the glass cooler for 3 whole minutes, completely motionless. He didn't open the door. He just stared at his own reflection. "Sir, are you finding everything okay?" I called out, my heart starting to beat a little faster. Suddenly, he snapped his head toward the security camera. Even through the low-resolution monitor, I could see his eyes. They were wide, bloodshot, and completely unblinking. A terrifying, unnatural smile spread across his face. He slowly turned around and began walking back toward the counter. Step, scrape, step, scrape. As he got closer, I noticed something sticking out from the pocket of his yellow raincoat. It was the wooden handle of a large hunting knife. Ilkizleci tutma noktası. Take a look at your screen right now. Imagine standing alone in the middle of nowhere with an armed stranger walking slowly toward you. If your heart is beating faster, just listening to Mahzen, smash that like button right now. My blood ran cold. I carefully reached under the counter, my fingers wrapping around the panic button that connected directly to the local police station. He stopped right in front of the register. Up close, he smelled terrible, like rotten wood and stagnant swamp water. He didn't say a word. He just stared at me, that horrific smile still locked on his face. Then he slowly reached his hand into his pocket. I didn't wait to see what he was pulling out. I slammed my hand down on the panic button. The loud, piercing alarm didn't sound in the store. It was a silent alarm, but the small red light on my dashboard blinked, confirming the police were on their way. The man seemed to realize something was wrong. He stopped his hand, leaned over the counter, and whispered in a raspy, dry voice, "You're lucky the lights are bright in here." He turned around and dragged his leg out of the store as fast as he could. 2 minutes later, 3 police cars screamed into the parking lot. They searched the woods behind the station, but found nothing, except for a discarded yellow raincoat covered in dark stains. I quit that job the very next morning. Before we move to our second story, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you were being watched while entirely alone? Keep that feeling in mind as we enter an empty office building in downtown Chicago. This happened last year. I work as an IT technician for a corporate logistics company. Since I'm the junior technician, I always get stuck with the late-night server maintenance. On weekends, the entire 12-story building is completely empty, except for a single security guard at the front desk downstairs. It was a Saturday night, around 1:45 a.m. I was on the 9th floor, sitting in a massive open cubicle office. All the main lights were turned off to save energy, so the only illumination came from my laptop screen and the faint blue emergency lights on the ceiling. It was dead silent. I was typing some code when I suddenly heard the distinct sound of a printer turning on at the far end of the room. I frowned. The printers were programmed to go into sleep mode after 8 p.m. I looked over the tops of the cubicles, but it was too dark to see anything. Then, the machine started printing. Wah, click, wah, click. I stood up, feeling a bit uneasy. "Hello?" I called out. "Is someone else here?" No answer, just the sound of the paper sliding out. I walked over to the printer, my footsteps echoing loudly. I reached into the tray and picked up the piece of paper. My heart stopped. It wasn't a document. It was a screenshot of a security camera feed. Specifically, it was a live shot of the 9th floor hallway. And standing right outside the glass doors of the office I was in was a tall, incredibly thin man wearing a generic security uniform. But it wasn't our regular guard, Mike. Mike was an older, heavy-set man. This guy looked gaunt, almost skeletal. As I stared at the paper, the printer whirred again. Another page came out. I grabbed it. It was another screenshot. This time, the thin man was inside the glass doors. He was in the room with me. Panic flooded my system. I spun around, looking at the dark shadows of the cubicles. I couldn't see him, but I could hear something. A soft, rhythmic clicking sound, like fingernails tapping against the plastic walls of the cubicles. Tap, tap, tap. He was moving through the aisles, getting closer to me. I dropped the papers, grabbed my cell phone, and realized I left my laptop and car keys back at my desk. I had no choice. I ran toward the emergency exit stairs at the opposite end of the floor. As soon as my feet hit the concrete steps, I heard the heavy, heavy door behind me burst open. "Where are you going?" A mocking, high-pitched voice echoed down the stairwell. I sprinted down those stairs like my life depended on it, and it probably did. I didn't stop until I crashed through the ground floor doors into the lobby. Mike, the real security guard, was sitting at his desk, eating a sandwich. He looked shocked to see me sweating and crying. "Mike, there's someone on the 9th floor. He's trying to kill me," I screamed. Mike immediately called the police and locked the main elevators. When the police arrived and cleared the 9th floor, they found my laptop and keys completely untouched, But on my desk, the printer had left one final page. It was a printed picture of the back of my head while I was sitting at my computer, taken from just inches away, right before the printing started. The man was never found, and the company later discovered that a set of master keys had been stolen 3 weeks prior. Our final story is perhaps the most disturbing one of all. If you are listening to this in bed, you might want to pull the covers up tight. I used to work night security for an abandoned textile warehouse in Georgia. The building had been empty for over 5 years, but the owner kept a guard there because local kids kept breaking in to spray graffiti or do drugs. My shift was from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The warehouse was a massive, rusted labyrinth of concrete pillars, broken glass, and old machinery. My only job was to walk the perimeter every 2 hours, check the locks, and sit in my small security shack at the main gate for the rest of the night. It was a freezing January night, around 2:45 a.m. I was doing my final patrol of the interior. I carried a heavy-duty flashlight and a baton. The air inside was so cold, I could see my own breath. I was walking through Section D, the old storage room, when my flashlight beam caught something strange in the dust on the floor. Footprints, but they weren't shoe prints. They were barefoot tracks, and they were fresh. The dust hadn't even settled around them yet. I gripped my baton tightly. "This is private property," I shouted into the darkness. "Identify yourself and leave immediately." My voice echoed through the rafters, followed by a long, heavy silence. I slowly followed the footprints with my flashlight. They led deeper into the maze of old metal shelves. I followed them around a corner, and then they just stopped. Right in the middle of an open concrete floor, I confusedly shone my light around. No one was there. Then a tiny drop of liquid hit the top of my flashlight. Drip. I looked down at the lens. It was dark, thick, and red. Blood. My heart hammered against my ribs. Slowly. Very slowly. I tilted my flashlight upward, aiming the beam at the rusted iron rafters 20 feet above my head. There was a man up there. He was completely naked, his skin impossibly pale and bruised. He was crouched on a narrow metal beam like a spider, his long arms and legs wrapped around the iron. His face was distorted, his jaw hanging open unnaturally wide. He was looking directly down at me, and dark red blood was slowly dripping from his mouth. The moment my flashlight hit his face, he let out a screech, a sound that didn't sound human at all. It sounded like a dying animal, mixed with a screeching train. He began climbing down the vertical iron pillar with terrifying speed, moving like an insect. I didn't think about protocol. I dropped my flashlight, turned around, and sprinted through the dark warehouse. I knew the layout by heart, which was the only reason I didn't trip over the debris. Behind me, I could hear the rapid, wet slapping of his bare hands and feet hitting the concrete floor. He was gaining on me. I reached the heavy metal exit door, threw my weight against the push bar, and stumbled out into the freezing night air. I ran straight to my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. Through the cracked glass of the warehouse window next to the door, I saw his pale face press against the glass. He smeared his bloody mouth against it, leaving a horrific streak before retreating back into the darkness. The police arrived with K9 units. The dogs tracked a scent to an old sewer pipe that connected to the warehouse basement. But the tunnel went too deep under the city. They never caught whatever, or whoever, was living in those rafters. Needless to say, I never went back for my final paycheck. Thank you for listening to tonight's stories until the very end. If these real encounters gave you chills, please show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to Mahzen, and sharing this video with a friend who loves horror. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 stories terrified you the most? And if you were the security guard in the final story, would you have looked up at the rafters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Stay safe out there and sleep with one eye open. Until next week.